For those of you that are slightly lazy, lnp.tv will get you there. We want to thank Dr. Michelle for joining us for our Ask Dr. Michelle segment. Our next guest, CEO extraordinaire of Arena Sports Network, that plays Late Night Parents, Mr. Brian Snow, is on. Brian, how you doing?
Good evening, sir. It's a pleasure to talk to you.
Same here, my friend. How are things? There's so much, Brian, that you and I have talked about in the last month. So I thought it was apropos to have you on the first night that we moved to Sunday nights at 7 p.m. to just generally have a conversation, and maybe it's a roaming conversation. We were, as I mentioned at the start of the show, that of all the radio partners, there's one partner, Arena Sports Network, that plays us 5 nights a week, 12 a.m. It's Arena Sports Network. Want to thank you for that, and thank you for the support. I'd say it's you and the big homie, the Underground 9-0, that shows, the amount of support for the show, which is unbelievable. But let's get into it. You're in a certain region, in the Indiana area, Chicago area, where there's a lot of talk going on, because there's a lot of senseless violence going on. And yes, this is a family show, so I think you and I on our podcast can really cut up. But I just want to put this out there to you. The senseless killings in Chicago. Also, there's a gentleman that didn't kneel. Or he knelt down. He didn't stand up for the flag. The word oppression is being thrown out there. There's a lot to go on that's going on here. I wanted to open up the lines up to you, to give you this forum, to give me your thoughts of what's happening in the Midwest.
You mentioned two very important words, senseless violence. Let's take the second word out of the equation, senseless. There's no heart, there's no sense of worth, there's no sense of salvation anymore, especially in the Chicagoland area, which is why I got the hell out when I did. When you go back to your own neighborhood, and you've heard me talk about this on my morning show, when you go back to your own neighborhood and you see the deterioration happening before you, time to leave.
Yes.
People can talk all they want, and this is predominant in the black neighborhoods that have been deteriorated, that have been ostracized, that have been, for lack of a better term, demolished at the hands of the people that are in it. And people want to say all the time that, you came from this neighborhood, you need to give back to it. How do you give back to a neighborhood that is never appreciative of A, what you were bringing to them, and B, what you had planned to bring to them? You can't get back to neighborhoods like that because they'll never appreciate it in full. Period.
That is true. Like I said, I know our time is short here because we go extensively on your morning show. You have a great morning show. You have a great network out there. And I'm not just saying that because you play the show or anything else like that, because, it could be easily misconstrued by the people.
Yeah.
But, and it's a term that's been overused. You keep it real, Brian. You really do. You tell it like it is, and whether people want to hear it or not, you're going to give it to them. In some of these situations I've noticed on your show, it's like you don't care.
It's the truth. It's the truth. I don't care. When I first started Snowman in the Morning in 2013, there was a certain pattern that I held to. My show was only an hour long at the time. After mid-2015, that pattern began to change after I extended it. I'm going to extend it yet again beginning Tuesday morning. That pattern started to change because I realized that I was missing a lot of points with the fans. They wanted to hear things that were not regurgitated by the major networks, things that were not always talked about by the major networks. They wanted to hear an opinion, and fans back up that opinion, that is totally contrary to what you usually hear every morning. Being in the third largest market, Chicago, Illinois, I cannot tell you, you know this, being in New York, if you're in a large market, New York, Los Angeles, Chicago, you're going to hear the same doggone things every day, just served up in a different fashion.
Correct.
Because they are too afraid to dig deep and let their minds do the talking about what's going on before they spit out what's on a microphone. On the major networks, and you and I have spoken about this, and we're going to speak about this again, on the major networks, they're given an agenda, and they are being told to push that agenda down the fans' throat because you want to make sure that you keep the fans. Me, I don't care about an agenda. The only agenda I put together is what I put together daily for the show, and it outlines some of the things that go beyond what the major networks say. Period. That is the direction I took the show in beginning late 2014. It's held true through the most part of 2015, and it's definitely held true after a bit of a hiatus. I relaunched again in June of this year. And I can tell you, man, the fans are loving it.
That's perfect. That's perfect. Give me your take really quick. And I hate to even ask you this question because it's so layered. Colin Kaepernick. But my question I'm going to ask you, we understood what happened. We understood the protest. We understand that a protest is supposed to disrupt or cause a disruption.
Yep.
Did we take a step back when someone, whomever from the AP, decides to take a snapshot of the socks he wore on August 10th that had pictures of, cops as pigs?
No, we didn't take a step back, but AP sure as hell did. They went digging. Who's the hot story right now? Colin Kaepernick. They're trying to find every way possible to discredit him because he took a silent protest with something that he believed in. We as men, black, white, or whatever, and I've spoken this before, and you've heard me say it, we as men, especially in the 2010s, are slowly being emasculated, we're slowly being ostracized, and we're slowly being eliminated. Why? Because we have the power, and I'm not tooting the horn over here, I'm just speaking what is dead on truth. We have the power to change our society and bring people back together, period. The problem is the bulk of society won't let us. Why, you ask? Because they know if they let the men that are critical thinkers, in honor of my comedic hero, George Carlin, if they let the men who are critical thinkers and realize what is going on with this society and actually put a plan together to reverse the condition, how fast do you think they'll find something or try to find something against us and round us up like cattle? And I'm not speaking specifically of black men. I'm not speaking specifically of white men. I'm speaking specifically of men, period. If the men that are, and I will say it again, if the men that are critical thinkers in this society are allowed to come together and reverse the problems that are in this society, there will be so many people that will try to come against that coalition. And you want to talk about a societal war? That would be the biggest spark plug of it, because people get tired of having things shoved down their throat and shoved in their face. Colin Kaepernick took a silent protest.
Right.
Okay? Because of what he believed in. He's allowed to feel the way that he feels. I know so many veterans that are standing with him, that are standing beside him. And let me go one step further, that are standing for him. Because he knows what's going on. And it's bigger than black and white. If people would wake up and think about it, it's bigger than black and white.
Brian,
people will realize how much bigger it is.
Brian, like I said, this is so in depth. This is more for a long form discussion. I just wanted to introduce our listeners to the illustrious Mr. Brian Snow, because I kind of expect with it now not being the warm and fuzzy Saturday afternoon, and we can now talk about real topics on Sunday evening. It changes the tone.
It does.
It really does. So I want to thank you for just a quick, just a quick appearance. And I wanted to say to you, best ways of getting in contact with you on social media.
They can follow me at Golden Voice Snow. That's my personal Twitter, and at Arena Sports Net. That's my business Twitter. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Google Plus. All the ID you need is Arena Sports Net. You can catch our programming via TuneIn by searching Arena Sports Net.
Mr. Brian Snow, I want to thank you, and we shall be talking more on Sundays, but